Yeah, well, his member. You got a sweet back.
That's what was homeboy name in Friday? Sweet Dick Willie. Yo, what's up? We back at it again.
Once again.
We on that Melvin Van Peebles vibe right now. So we're gonna get into the second movie of this Melvin Van Peebles set. This one is Sweetback's Baadassss song.
The Groove Pavement.
Podcast, talk show, and movie review.
Where we break down the blaxploitation era, the cinematic genre, the exploitation of the black culture and experience through film and media.
We'll also dive into the cast, the subgenres, the TV shows, and the music.
Outside of the films, we'll view some critical signs of the time and what these stories meant then and now, from entertainment to society to economics.
The Groove Pavement.
Can you dig it, sweet mama?
I can dig it.
Hey, what's up, y'all? I am Shawn Strong.
And I am Decarius McClearn.
And you riding that Groove Pavement. Like we said, we got this movie we're going to talk about, Melvin Van Peebles. We talked about him last week on his film debut of the 3-Day Pass. This one, the Sweetback's Baadassss song. If y'all haven't seen the movie, go check it out. But before y'all do, make sure y'all like our Facebook page, like our Instagram, follow us on Instagram, subscribe to us on YouTube, and be on the lookout for us on SoundCloud and all those other podcast hosting sites. Will be coming to y'all where y'all can just hear the audio real soon, and subscribe to our websites. So let's get into this Sweetback Melvin Van Peebles. It's a lot going on here. This guy filmed, or he basically directed, co-written, produced,
all out of his pocket.
Everything. I think he had $500,000 to make this movie.
Well, it was $50,000. And you know, because he funded the movie basically by himself. He ran out of money.
He even borrowed some money from
Bill Cosby.
Yeah,
Bill Cosby loaned him $50,000 and did not charge the man interest.
Shouldn't, because they dealt with the same nightlife. But go ahead.
Kind of, sort of, but you know. So this is, if anybody knows anything about Sweetback as in relation to blaxploitation, Sweetback is really considered the first blaxploitation film, and it was an independent film, and it made the most money as far as being, you know, financially successful in 1971, but it was also one of the most, financially successful independent films up to that point. So it was historic what he did with that film, and he prided himself on capturing the black aesthetic, which had not been captured before. So that's from his point of view. From his point of view.
Yeah.
So he wanted to capture the black aesthetic again from his point of view, and he wanted to do that unapologetically. He didn't want to pander to anybody. He wanted to give you, you know, raw dog without a bag, basically.
And that's what he actually did. In a sense, raw dog.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Before that, but what pushed him to do this movie, because his previous movies kind of got him a deal, somewhat. He ended up going overseas, which was his first film we talked about last week.
The 3-Day Pass.
Story of 3-Day Pass.
And then he got he parlayed that 3-Day Pass into an opportunity where he was offered to direct Watermelon Man, which starred Godfrey Cambridge.
Yeah, and actually was his second film.
That was his second film.
Which we talked about last week.
Screen that size ought to only have 15-minute shows. Get it? Small screen, small shows.
He makes a Sweetback, and he, you know, has a lot of alliances, you know, with the Black Panthers and stuff like that. He got some friends. He got some connects. Bill is one of his peoples. He's he's down with Earth, Wind, and the Fire, and we ain't talking Captain Planet. But the way this movie was made was, I guess it, you know, also kind of like a guerrilla film style, because they shot in different places. A lot of the scenes were shot at night.
Absolutely. He wanted to make a revolutionary film, and a lot of what Sweetback would become would be because of the arguments that he had with the writer on the Watermelon Man. So they would go back and forth. He wanted to make that a Black Power film, and Rorcher, which is the writer, wanted to make it a satire on white liberalism. And so they fought back and forth. And what Sweetback did, Sweetback was his response to that. Watermelon Man is successful. And as a result of it being successful, I think Columbia offers him a 3-picture deal. His response is to make Sweetback. And based on the content of Sweetback, nobody wants to pick it up. So he does it independently.
And doing so, it has a certain type of rating, I guess, because of the content and what it shows. The rating dropped down to like a low X, if kind of like sophomore, because he shows some things. There's some buttocks that you actually see.
Yeah, he says it's rated X by an all-white jury. But that's rhetoric, but it really does carry an X rated rating, because there are a lot of there's a difference between simulated sex scenes and unsimulated sex scenes. He had a lot of unsimulated sex scenes, and simulated means
he uses assets.
Exactly. So when you simulate, you kind of imitate. When you're unsimulated, you're actually doing the real thing. So the fact of the matter is, he had a lot of unsimulated sex scenes. And based on that, he could not get a lot of theaters to carry it. In fact, the only, when he debuted the movie, there was only 2 theaters in the country that would take it, and that was Detroit and Atlanta. So he only debuted in 2 theaters across the country.
And there's a lot of actors that most of the time they want their films to be authentic, and they probably wanted to do their own stunts. So Melvin, I think he took it upon himself to do his own stunts.
Well, he wanted to do his own stunts because he couldn't afford, to hire stunt people.
No, I'm talking about
simulation. Well, that's the other thing. But there were other big time actors that wanted to play in the movie, but the problem they had was they didn't have enough lines.
Yeah, and that's another thing about this movie. He barely talks.
Yeah,
I think altogether throughout this movie, the dialogue for him was probably 1 paragraph.
He didn't speak for probably about 25 minutes. He doesn't speak.
And Mario's in this movie.
Yeah.
Maybe this may have been his debut.
Yeah, and we'll talk about it.
All right, so we want to get into one of the scenes of plot of this movie. A young African man, orphan, sheltered in L.A. in a brothel in the 40s. He grows up. He's a grown man now.
So he's taken in by these motherly prostitutes.
They love him.
I'm going to put motherly in quotes. As motherly as, women of the night can be. And he grows up to be a sex performer in a whorehouse himself.
Dun, 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 dun. And that's how he got that name?
Well, how he got that name,
Sweetback.
Well, when you have a Sweetback, they're talking about your sexual prowess and your size. So he became, his reputation preceded him.
Yeah, his uncle's name Sweet Dick Willie.
Yeah, so when you have a Sweetback, the ladies give you props.
Sweetback. Give me a cat. So let's get into this first scene. So there's things, I kind of really wasn't feeling this movie because throughout you got, the way the beginning starts and then it goes into a plot move, which we're going to show, there's still racial tension and it seems like pretty much it's always going to be racial tension in blaxploitation. And cops are, they need somebody arrested. They're trying to fill their quota. So they go to the spot where everybody's at. It's kind of like Ray's Boom Boom Room. And cops talk to the homeboy that they know.
Yeah, Beetle. Beetle is his boss. He's the guy that runs the whorehouse that Sweetback is performing.
We don't know nothing about no dead man.
We know that, but the commissioner doesn't. We just want to borrow one of your boys for a couple hours and take him downtown to make us look good, official-wise.
Why, me? I'm sure one man already. George is sick.
You're our friend. We knew you'd be willing to lend a hand.
When did you people start getting so interested in black folks, dead or alive?
Progress.
They just need somebody to fill in the spot, and they go to his spot to look for a black guy.
Yeah,
Random.
and any black guy will do. And so why not Sweetback?
Sweetback.
So pretty much what the cops are going to do, they're pretty much taking him into custody for appearance's sake.
Yeah.
And what they plan to do with Sweetback is let him go after a few days because they don't have enough evidence.
And then something else happens.
Yeah, things go awry.
Yeah. So they end up getting this guy Moo Moo,
Which is a black militant.
Yeah, and I guess this also goes in part into how it has some revolutionary feel to it.
Yeah, Sweetback, is forced with a decision to make. He can either remain silent. Ironically, he remains silent a lot. But he can either turn his back, and he tries to do that. He tries to turn away. But when he sees his fellow black man getting brutalized by the police, he decides to act.
Thanks, man. Where are we going?
Where you get that weed shit?
Yeah, almost 20 minutes, and he still has not spoken. He's going to speak shortly after, but he has not spoken this whole time. He's only acted.
And this is self-directed too, and you can see the edit. He edited it himself. According to him, he said what he approached. He just had an idea and captured whatever he captured for that, and hopefully in the editing process you get out what the best of what you put in there.
Well, there's a method to his madness here. See, as I said earlier, there were other actors that wanted to be in this movie because by now, Melvin has a reputation, and so they respect his art. But the problem they had was that they didn't have enough lines, and his thought was not to make himself the star, but to make the community the star.
It probably would have been better because if somebody else acted, because you're directing instead of trying to do both.
He was very mechanical. He wasn't. He didn't emote a lot.
Well, I wasn't a fan of this movie at all. I just, and you can also see too, like we mentioned before, he was overseas for a while, for a couple of years, so he absorbed a lot of those editing styles or that filmmaking style into his cinema. So from linear, and in this movie, he, you see him running a lot throughout. What does it mean? I don't know. One interview we saw a guy saying, we seen a Negro run.
Well,
in a sense.
here's I watched an interview with Melvin Van Peebles talking about when he went to the premiere of the movie. I don't know if he was in Detroit or in Atlanta, but when he was running, what he found when he grew up, he saw, the black person dies or the black person is killed. He wanted to kill all those tropes that he was watching as he grew up. And he recalled that one of the old ladies in the movie was like, she was watching, she was like, please just let him die. Don't kill him. Because he was taken aback by how the lady was so fearful of him doing the running that she just wanted him to die, without, die on his own terms without being killed. And so pretty much what he got from that was, here's somebody that took it to Whitey and now he lived and he's going to get away with it. She never expected him to live throughout the whole ordeal.
Yeah, he just ran. Okay. Yeah, but I don't know. I don't think I just, as a filmmaker, I don't see how it's heightened up. I do, in a sense, and same thing with Rudy Ray Moore, how they made their films, what they did to make their films, what they were pushed in order to become a filmmaker, to be a believable black man, and to do what they say they're going to do, and they've actually done it by any means creative, as I say. And that's what I see of it. But other than that, plot wise, it just like the other movies, there's not much of a story.
It's plot light. It really is. It's plot light.
And I think Forrest Gump was probably, got some ideas from the running that Van Peebles done, or Sweetback song. That's pretty much what the movie. It was just him knocking down stuff, and there's other things that happen too.
Yeah, knocking down stuff and knocking down females in the process.
And he actually got some workers' comp or something like that.
Yeah, so like I said earlier, we were talking about whether, sex scenes or lovemaking scenes can be simulated, which means that you are pretending to have sex, and then there's the unsimulated scenes where you actually are doing the deed. And so Sweetback does several scenes like this, and he actually got hurt on the job. How did he get hurt on the job? Well, he contracted the clap from one of his scenes, and that's old head for gonorrhea. All right, if anybody doesn't know what the clap means, it means gonorrhea.
Some of y'all still taking penicillin.
So so what he was able to do, and it's brilliant, because what he did was he said, I did get hurt on the job. I'm going to apply to the Directors Guild for workers' compensation. And this is going to be very pivotal because he's starting to run out of money. He's doing his own stunts. He's composed the music. He's done everything, editing or whatever. He's got a loan from Bill Cosby that, he makes good on. But he's running out of money, so he takes that money. He's able to file that workers' comp claim through the Directors Guild, and he's able to keep the movie going from him getting hurt on the job.
Not many folks have done that in that way. So,
I just want to know who he caught it from, and did she get compensation as well? That's going to be. Hopefully, we can interview him one day and find out.
Yeah, and the other outrageous thing is that his son is actually in the movie in the very beginning.
Yeah,
at a very young age, he's the child that gets raped in the brothel.
That's Mario Van Peebles.
Yeah, and that's where he takes off that hat, and his dad puts on that hat and takes off where he left off. And
I would love to ask him how he got around, because I think Mario was only about 12 or 13 at the time, and he looks as much, 12 or 13. So I don't know if I would put my son in that position. I really don't.
And the other thing too, like, you know, in the 70s was really big on X-rated filmmaking. That's where it was really booming all across the globe. But the other things too is like for blaxploitation, you know, all these movies and black films, you got black families and stuff.
Yeah.
Black families ain't sitting together watching this movie.
Oh, no. And no one really saw this movie at first. Again, this movie opened in Detroit and Atlanta. It was only 2 theaters that it started off in. So, you know, the finances coming in, or the proceeds coming from, you know, the movie at the outset are very meager at the beginning. It only picks up steam when it's a gentleman named Huey Newton.
Huey P.
gets wind of the film, and he watches it, and he makes it, he's high on this movie. And in fact, he makes it required watching for people that come into the Panthers. And that's how this movie takes off independently.
Yeah, and the other thing that we mentioned, or that you mentioned, is how he pushed the movie out. He used a different tactic and strategy with the music.
Oh, yes. How he's groundbreaking in this sense. Whatever you may think about Melvin Van Peebles' art, and, you know, people have some very strong opinions on it. But he used the soundtrack or the movie score to advertise the movie.
And that's a great strategy to use in promotion.
Yeah. And he uses a starving group by the name of Earth, Wind, and Fire to perform the music that he composes. They were starving artists. He knew them, and he took advantage of, you know, that tactic. The reason why that's so significant is that soundtracks for blaxploitation are going to be a staple.
They're the backbone.
They're really going to drive the plot. They're really going to they're going to properly layer. They're going to provide the soul and the rhythm of the whole blaxploitation era. So Melvin Van Peebles is responsible for how movies in general are marketed.
And that's the music, the soundtrack is very essential in blaxploitation. And in every essence, because you get certain scenes and you get funk in those scenes in itself. And then when you get the soundtrack, you're also going to hear, you know, other songs that are probably not, you probably wouldn't hear in the movie, but they'll probably be hits in itself.
Yes.
And that pushes us as superstars too, and singers and producers, whether it's the Mayfields,
Willie Hutch,
and so it's a lot that goes on with the music. That's just part of our DNA, the music and the rhythm, as you say.
Yeah, we are rhythmic people, so we even how we walk, you can put some music to it.
Yeah, so and I think we mentioned before the difference between a soundtrack and
a score
and the score. So it's just really groovy how we just did everything, you know, the dancing, the styling, the look and feel. So, you know, blaxploitation is definitely not getting its due in this. We're hoping that we actually hold it up and talking about these this particular filmic cinematic era and the movies and directors. So, but this movie in itself has a lot going on. Melvin Van Peebles is a unique director out of all of them there, and I think I mentioned before, I think Tyler Perry comes from that type of root of Melvin Van Peebles by doing things just in this style and
everything. Yes, just doing everything.
Yeah,
you know,
pretty much to the writing, the directing. Yeah. So throughout this movie, he actually just continues to run. He actually gets away, goes through some troubles. He uses sword. He gets out of trouble.
Yeah, every situation where he could be captured, Sweetback always reverts back to what he knows, and so the revolutionary weapon, believe it or not, that he uses throughout the movie is not a gun, it's not organizing, it's his member, and that's gonna cause the content of the movie. What it proposes to be or what it claims to be doing is going to be very polarizing for the public, to say the least.
Yeah, for people to, they watch it because you got to go through that first part to watch the movie.
Yeah.
The first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's,
hard jarring to say the least.
Yes. As they holding up to be a staple. It's supposedly critical acclaim.
Well, the reason why they hold it up is, when an independent film generates the amount of money that it does,
Yeah.
It almost lends itself to being credible. All right, so the credibility comes along with the finance.
Yeah, and that's why I kind of threw in Rudy Ray Moore and Dolomite and what he did with his movies, for that to become the cult classic that it did. There's other movies as well. Even later, the Blair Witch thing, Fruitvale Station.
Yes,
was made with very little money funding, and grossed a lot. But still, the director himself, his vision is his own. I saw all the black filmmakers and directors. He's not in my top 5.
So again, we were talking about the black aesthetic as Melvin Van Peebles had saw it. All right, and consequently, the movie wasn't warmly received by black intellectual society. There's a guy by the name of Lerone Bennett, Lerone Bennett Jr., who was a historian, social commentator. He used to write for Ebony Magazine, and back then Ebony Magazine was the voice of the black bourgeois. All right, and he wrote an article called "Emancipation Orgasm, Sweetback in Wonderland." And to say the least, if you can find that article on the internet. It's a very scathing article. And in substance, what he says is that Sweetback is not a black film, nor is it revolutionary. And he also went on to say that if a black man could screw his way to freedom, we would have had it already. So it was not well received, like critically. The white critics, they slammed the movie. Black people, they didn't embrace the movie, but they contextualized their criticism a little more than the white community. But overall, nobody was talking about this movie at first as being a masterpiece. I think that's a little bit of a revisionist type of history to say it was a masterpiece, but it is groundbreaking, and you can't take that away from him based on what it was able to generate and based on it sets the format of the era. It really does. So whether you like his art or not, he's a trailblazer.
Okay. Yeah. At least we got a black person making a film. There's not even no more scenes that I don't even want to pull out.
But you can't use. There's hardly any scenes that you can use because a lot of them are pornographic. One.
Yeah.
And two, it's just a lot of him running. So
yeah. He lost a lot of weight in this film. So if y'all want, go check this movie out. If you have it, tell somebody else that you had it. I don't know if you want to have a watch party for it.
No,
but
you can't.
It's probably gonna be a collector's item in a couple more years.
It is.
So Melvin Van Peebles, 1970. 1971. He directed.
He wrote it, directed it, edited it,
produced it.
Wrote the music to it, composed the music.
He did his own stunts.
Yep.
In all ways, shapes, and forms.
Yep.
He ran. He ran a lot.
He did his own stunts with stunts.
I believe he wrote. He wrote his lines while he was running. So yeah, this is Melvin Van Peebles' Sweetback, Baadassss song. His third.
Yes,
his third film. We first talked about Story of a 3-Day Pass, and then we talked about The Watermelon Man.
Mm-hmm.
So check it out and let us know what you think. If you saw the movie If you saw it with your parents, let us know what went down after y'all watched it.
Yeah.
And what type of cereal you ate after you finished watching the film.
Yeah, I would be thrilled to know what people think of this movie.
Yeah. And or the stuff that happened, having your son in the movie.
Yeah.
Playing those types of parts and those types of stunts at a very young age.
Yeah.
And also, what do you think of the filmmaking process? What do you thought of the plot and the story of it? So let us know on our Facebook page or on our YouTube page. If you subscribe, you will actually know when it's going down, the next points or the next episodes that we're doing. And follow us on Instagram. Let us know what you think on there. So we definitely like to hear what you guys think of us and these movies. So hit us up. This was Mario Van Peebles' third film, Sweetback, Baadassss song. And I'm Sweetback Shawn, along with Sweetback Decarius. And we got Sweetback Duke over here on the switchboard.
Real groovy.
And that's it, folks. We're going to see y'all next week. And I think next week we're going to be Cotton Comes in Harlem or something like that. We're going to get into a new realm of some action, some real action. We're going to start getting real funky in the 70s.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll see y'all soon.
Right on.
The Groove Pavement.
Podcast, talk show, and movie review.
Where we break down the blaxploitation era, the cinematic genre, the exploitation of the black culture and experience through film and media.
We'll also dive into the cast, the subgenres, the TV shows, and the music.
Outside of the films, we'll view some critical signs of the time and what these stories meant then and now, from entertainment to society to economics.
The Groove Pavement.
Can you dig it, sweet mama?
I can dig it.